So let's get to the last video. It's very sad that this series has to come to an end, honestly. So we've been asked to determine the gradient of the line of best fit. So after plotting your graph, we did that in the last video. What's going to come next is determining the gradient of the line of best fit. Now, the question will ask you to include the absolute uncertainty, so we're going to cover both parts. So under this subtopic, the goal is to find the gradient. So our method is we choose two well-spaced points on the line of best fit. Now, the marking schemes require us to have 2 points that are going to be further away, more than half of the graph itself. What do I mean by this? If I look at this scenario, right? Look at me. I chose this point over here, and I chose this point over there. These points are very further apart, right? What they don't want you is choosing a point here and a point over there. They want you to have points that occupy almost half of the entire graph itself, right? That's basically their goal. So after doing that, we're going to draw the gradient triangle. That's basically the gradient triangle that I drew over there, as you saw. This is my gradient triangle. Very nice triangle. And you're going to then apply the gradient formula. So you're going to have 2 points. In this example, I picked 2.0 and 3.5, 8.0 and 7.8. So using our example, m is going to be 7.8 minus 3.5. The difference in the values in the y minus 8.0 minus 2.0. Then I'm going to get 0.717, 3SF, to make it make sense. That's basically how you calculate your gradient. Identify 2 points further apart, nearly half of the graph. That's number one. And then number two, just apply the gradient formula and you're done. Right? Easy marks. And 3SF, please. Then you're going to be asked to calculate the uncertainty. Again, this is very easy. If you have notes, write this down. Write this stuff down. So uncertainty in gradient is going to be gradient of worst acceptable line, subtract gradient of line of best fit. So gradient of worst acceptable line, subtract the gradient of the line of best fit. Okay. So what am I doing here? Essentially, this is the formula that we use to calculate the uncertainty in the gradient itself. So simply put, go to your line of worst fit. We talked about this in the last video. Go and check that out if you've forgotten how to calculate it. But you're getting the gradient of the worst acceptable line. You're picking 2 points again on the line of worst fit, right? So I'm going on the line of worst fit, and I'm like, okay, let me pick 2 points, right? Line of worst fit is the blue line. I pick this point, and then I pick that point. I apply the gradient formula, and I get the uncertainty, the gradient itself, and I get the gradient of the line of worst fit. So the difference between the two, right, is going to be your uncertainty. The difference, because one is steep like this, the other is very steep. The difference in their steepness is how uncertain you are about the line of best fit. So in this example, I got 0.003. So essentially, I have 0.717 plus or minus then 0.003. That's quoting your gradient with its uncertainty. I see some students putting units. So they could say, oh, what is the units in the y? What are the units in the x? And then they're like, okay, kg, meters per cube or something like that. That's not necessary. This question doesn't require you to put units. You could if you want, but I wouldn't really encourage that because it's not really necessary, right? I don't really see the point as to why you'd want to do that. If you want, hey, that's fine. But I really think that's going to be time consuming, take a lot of time. So really just put your answer with its uncertainty, right? Another follow-up question that you're going to see that follows after this will always be to determine the y-intercept of the line of best fit. So let's cover that. So I know that y is equal to mx plus c, right? So the c for the line of best fit will be equal to y minus mx. So I'll go on my graph and pick again a point, 1 point. You go in your graph, you pick 1 point, and essentially you're then going to put that point down here. So let's assume I have 2.0, 8.5, right? So my gradient, I already know that's mx. Y is 8.5 minus my gradient, which is 0.717 times 2.0, and I'm getting the y-intercept itself, right? This is a question that follows. Not every paper has this, but it appears very like very often actually. So you must be able to know this. And then the y-intercept of the line of worst fit would just be equal to y minus mx. Again, pick 2 points on the line of worst fit. 2.0, 8.9, who knows, right? So your y intercept for the line of worst fit would just be again 8.9 minus 0.717 times 2.0, right? So now in order for you to get the uncertainty, it's therefore going to be the y-intercept for the line of worst fit minus the y-intercept for the line of best fit. This is the golden formula for these kind of questions, right? The y-intercept is going to be, therefore, you have both of them. The difference is the uncertainty. And you just quote your answer with the uncertainty. That's it, right? That's all you need to do. So the first question that always comes in every paper, calculate the gradient and its uncertainty. This one comes very often. A lot of past papers have it, so you need to know how to tackle this. But other than that, we can therefore be asked multiple things. For example, the first one could be use this and this to find this. These questions appear a lot. In that example, we're given S as 3.85 times 10 to the power of 26, and it asks us to determine the values of N and Z. We already knew that L is equals to SZ. So for example, if you didn't know, this was L is equals to SZM to the power of N, and in part A, we had found this equation, right? So now they're asking us to find N and to find the y-intercept. So what you're then doing is basically to find Z and N. The gradient itself, this is the gradient, is going to be M, right? So the gradient is M, and its uncertainty is the uncertainty of the gradient, right? If you're confused about what we're doing, remember, we've solved first the questions. We're now solving the questions that follow after drawing the graph, right? And I'm saying in some questions, you could be asked to find missing values, but using values you have calculated, playing around with gradient and y-intercept. And this is an example of which when that was true. That's basically what we're doing here. So if I want to find the value of z, I just need to say the y-intercept again is log sz, make z the subject of formula, introduce 10 on both sides. So 10 to the power of the y-intercept divided by s, and my y-intercept has 10 to the power of 28, because if I go here, I have 10 to the power of 28 over there as the value of log L. Question had already told me what the value of s is, and that s was a constant, right? So now you can see that now I can find the value of z. This is the y-intercept. Then I'm basically done, right? If they would ask you to find the uncertainty in z, right, multiple formulas you can apply, but the easiest one, again, like I said in the last question when given calculations, you can find the maximum value of log L of the y-intercept. Then you can also find the minimum value of the y-intercept, 10 to the power of y-intercept minimum, right? So the uncertainty in z will basically be 10 to the power of y-intercept min, let's say max, minus max over s minus 10 to the power of c divided by s. That's the way you can find the absolute uncertainty in z. So all I'm saying, all this to say, there could be questions that then follow that ask you to calculate some variable or something like that. All you have to do is just go back to these parts, right? That's all you should get from this. Go back to these parts. Try to figure out, this is the y-intercept, this is the gradient, this is the equation that I had before. How do all of these connect to help me find n and z, right? The question could be m, could be k, could be p. Ask yourself, how can I use the information that I'm given to find the new information that I should? I'm going to give you an example on the screen for you to try to make sure that you've actually understood this concept, right? Okay. The other one could just be, for example, just finding missing values, right? So another main sequence star has a mass of 3.0. Determine the luminosity. You already know that L is equals to sz to the power m to the power of n, right? You already know what the value of n is, the value of z is, the value of s is. All you just need to do is plug in values and get the value of L. This is what I mean by just finding values, right? Another one could be here, right? From winter 2019, question paper 5.1, use the answers to D to determine the mass m needed to give a period of 1 second. They gave you the value of t. I know you lack context about the question. You say that's my bad, because part D which was asking you to calculate the values of k and q, I left that out. But you can see that if I have the value of k and q, I can therefore be able to just solve that equation for m. Right? Again, try this out and see if you can be able to calculate m. Look at the paper, try to solve it on your own. But essentially, what you're doing is just finding missing values, right? Or you could be able to find uncertainties. They could give you an equation afterwards and ask you to find the uncertainty. We've done uncertainties before. If it's an equation, make that thing the subject of formula, find the uncertainties in the things that you need, and you're done, right? So for example, if I have this equation, for example, 1 minus v over e is equals to e to the power of negative t over nRC. I introduce ln on both sides, right, over here. I have ln 1 over ve is equals to negative t over nRC. Then I make t the subject of formula, negative nr rc dot ln 1 minus ve. So essentially, I just multiplied this to the other side. You can therefore see that your gradient is basically this, because you're asked to plot a graph of something against something, right? That was t against r. So now you can see that, okay, my gradient is basically that. So my uncertainty in gradient will basically be my percentage uncertainty in the value of c, right? Because there's only the gradient present within uncertainty, v we don't have, e we don't have, so we just have to rely on the gradient of the uncertainty. Okay, so that's essentially what you're doing. You're given E and V, right? And you've been asked to calculate the percentage uncertainty in C using the answers to A and I3, right? I know this might be a bit difficult for you to understand, especially this part, but what I'm just doing is playing around, number one, with equations, trying to create a formula and trying to figure out which constants in that formula have an uncertainty. If they do, that's the uncertainty that I use, right? And I understand you might not be getting it, but the moral of the story, percentage uncertainty is just absolute overmeasured value times 100. You find that. The moral of the story is there are going to be follow-up questions that follow, right? They follow after plotting your graph. Number one, you might be asked to calculate the gradient. You have to be very good at doing that. Number two, they could ask you to calculate the y-intercept as well as its uncertainty. You have to be able to do that. Number three, they could ask you to find missing values, right? This is missing, find it using this information. You must be able to do that. Number four, they can ask you to find the absolute uncertainty in a variable, percentage uncertainty in another variable. And I've already told you, we've already talked about uncertainties. I feel like you're very good at solving that. That's essentially what you're going to be doing. Or they can ask you to use information that you already know to find other missing values, right? So you could know the gradient and the y-intercept, and they ask you to use part A, part B, part C to solve that. Those are the questions that follow, and they really conclude and wrap up paper 5. So I really hope that that made sense and that this video was very helpful for you to understand that there are other follow-up questions that follow, and your task, what I'm tasking you, if you finish this video series, do 3 or 4 past papers and try those questions that follow afterwards. You see a trend that's appearing, and all you have to just do is figure out, what can I do to solve this? What can I do to solve that? And everything will be fine. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for making through this video series. And I hope to see you in another video series for another completely different concept that we will be solving. But as for now, this is it. All good things must come to an end.